Welcome to this session, which is plenary session number 2, Climate Change, Vulnerability, Mitigation, and Adaptation. It's a 90-minute session, and we'll have a series of presentations followed by a Q&A session. Just to introduce myself, my name is Vinay Nangia. I'll be moderating this session. I'm the head of Soil, Water, and Agronomy Research at one of the CGIAR centers called ICARDA, International Center for Agricultural Research in the Dry Areas. We are the co-organizers along with the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation of the session, and we welcome you all. Like you already know, we have been hearing a lot about the climate changing, but we are also hearing a lot about changing at a very rapid pace. So things that we were not expecting to happen for a long while to come are already starting to show some signs. Every day in the news you hear floods and drought happening at the same time on the same continent and sometimes in the same country. So the erraticness, the intensity, the speed, everything is accelerating. And in that sense, this session is very important because we are going to take stock of what's happening, where are the vulnerabilities, and what is on the horizon. And you can see we have a wonderful lineup of 6 speakers who will be sharing their knowledge and wisdom. They have decades of experience behind them, so they can filter through a lot of information to get to the crux of the matter very quickly. So they know what is bankable idea versus what is just something which will disappear and doesn't really stand on strong footing. So we will be listening to them speak, and a lot of information will be passed on to you about new initiatives that are happening, what's happening in some of the developed countries that we can draw inspiration and lessons and parallels from, some of the success stories, and at the same time, how things such as digitalization, artificial intelligence, and other kinds of emerging fields of research give us some hope that things may change, and we may get some inspiration from other fields of research that can bring in some learnings to the field of agriculture, water management, and food security. So without taking too much of your time, I want to go straight into introducing our speakers. We will start with His Excellency Mr. Hiroshi Masayoshi, who is the Vice Minister of Engineering Affairs at Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transportation, and Tourism in Japan. He is a civil engineer specializing in water management, and he has taken over as the Vice Minister in 2024, prior to which he was holding various different positions at various different departments in the government of Japan, mostly related with climate change and agriculture and water management. So he will be sharing a lot of knowledge and wisdom that is coming from Japan, things that they have offered to the world, where there are some learnings and we can draw some inspiration from. If you could take 10 minutes to present so that we have enough time for Q&A later on. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Hiroshi Masayoshi, Vice Minister for Engineering Affairs, Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, MRIT of Japan. I would like to thank you for inviting me Cairo Water Week 2025. I am also very pleased to have the opportunity to speak at this plenary session on climate change. Addressing climate change is one of the most important challenges in water sectors. In Japan, we have been implementing several climate change countermeasures regarding floods, water resource, and water use. Today, I would like to introduce some of our approaches. Yes, in Japan, researchers and the Meteorological Research Institute have created a database for policy making for the future climate change. We call the D4PDF and D2PDF. These databases are used to predict change in rainfall, flow rate, and flood frequency due to global warming. The results show that if temperatures rise by 2 degrees Celsius in the future, rainfall targeted by the flood control plans will increase by 1.1 times, flow rate increase by 1.2 times, and flood frequency will increase by 2 times compared to the present. For this reason, MRIT is revising flood control plans to major rivers, which take into account the prediction the future rainfall on each river will increase by about 1.1 times compared to the present, and promoting river improvement. In light of impact of climate change and changes in social conditions, MRIT has launched is promoting the river basin disaster resilience and sustainability by all initiative. This involves collaboration not only along the river management organizations, but also all stakeholders throughout the entire basin. For example, as a measure to prevent or reduce flooding, we are promoting not only river improvement, but also improved rainfall storage functions. Yet, as a measure to reduce the exposure to flood, we are promoting the residential guidance toward lower risk areas to center. As a measure to strengthen resilience against the disasters, we are promoting improvement of risk information or reinforcement evacuation system, right-hand side. Next. Yeah. Sorry. Something. Oh, yeah. Sorry. In agricultural water management, the introduction ICT technology, sorry. I'm missing, sorry. Huh? Oh, yes. Next, I'd like to express Japan's effort to make efficient use of water resources. Although Japan receives a relatively large amount of rainfall, its land areas is small and mountainous, so rainfall quickly flows into the sea. In addition, rainfall unevenly distributed throughout the year, and it's concentrated in certain seasons. To address these challenges, Japan has developed facilities and implemented measures to make the most of its limited water resources. For example, Toyogawa River Service has vital water sources for Higashi Mikawa region in Aichi Prefecture, supporting water demand in areas nearly twice the size of the own river basin. To meet the water needs to this region, facility has been constructed to transfer water from the Tenryu River Basin, which has a line outside the Toyogawa Basin. In addition, 7 reservoirs has been developed along the Toyogawa Canal in Toyogawa River system. When rainfall increases the river flow and makes it possible to take in more water than required. The excess is stored in these reservoirs for use during drought periods. Next, in agricultural water use, the introduction of ICT technologies is also progressing. Reduce labor and cost for water management and minimize unnecessary water discharge are long-standing challenges. Recently, declining number of farmers and the expansion of farm management scale have created a need to review traditional water management methods. To address this issue, ICT technologies are being utilized to enable remote and automatic control of drain gate, pump, and bubbles, improving efficiency and reducing operation burdens. Next. I would like to introduce how Japan ensures the sustainability of its water supply and storage systems. Japan water supply and storage systems are almost most advanced in the world. Over decades, Japan has achieved nearly 100% water supply coverage and 24-hour service through careful planning and management. Storage coverage has also improved significantly from around 10% in 1970 to over 80% today, and the coverage has reached over 90% with decentralized wastewater treatment. This development has led to the better public health and improved water quality in the natural environment. However, Japan now faces a major challenge: aging infrastructures. Many facilities and pipelines built during the period rapid economic growth are reaching the end of the service life. If they are left unaddressed, this could lead to serious issues such as large-scale water leaks and collapse. Moreover, Japan often experiences earthquakes, but some of water supply and sewage systems still lack earthquake resilience. Or if damaged, they would cause widespread service disruption. As infrastructure ages, Japan is discussing the need to rebuild water supply and sewage system with redundancy and maintainability to ensure disaster resistance for long-term sustainability. In insurance, redundancy and maintainability, duplication pipes, and interaction with other networks are being promoted in both water supply and sewage systems. For sewage system, this approach is effective because the large diameter pipes with high water level are difficult to maintain and cannot be repaired quickly during disasters. I believe that sharing Japanese knowledge and experience contribute to global effort to develop resilient and sustainability infrastructures. Next, I would like to introduce our support effort for the international community. In Japan, we conduct a flood risk assessment for all major rivers and use the data to publish flood risk maps for residents. Flood risk maps provide important information that can be used to confirm the effective flood control project, consider safe land use, and evacuation resilience in event of flooding. We are currently providing support for the creation of these flood risk maps using both ground observation data and satellite data in 4 countries in Asia. We'd like to expand these efforts to other countries and regions at risk of flooding. Japan is also working with many countries related to water risk development, international standards for high-risk risk. In 2023, at Interactive Dialogue 3 of the UN Water Conference, water is the content of the climate-resistant environment. Japan and Egypt co-chaired this discussion. Based on the discussion, the ISO International Workshop agreed IWA 50 was established as a forum for discussing standardization related to hydrological risk. We held the first international workshop last week with approximately 100 participants from 41 countries, and discussions have just started. Japan will continue to make efforts to contribute to the international community in tackling the major challenges of climate change. The 2026 UN Water Conference is scheduled to be held next year, and discussion on the climate change will likely take place there. Japan also hopes to take the lead in this discussion and contribute to global efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that presentation. We will hold on to the questions till the end of the session so that we can go through all the presentations and then collect all the questions all at once to save time and be more efficient with time. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Ali Abu Sabah, who is the Director General of International Center for Agricultural Research in the Dry Areas, ICARDA. He's a strategic leader in sustainable development, climate change advocacy, and agricultural research. And prior to joining ICARDA, he was the Vice President of African Development Bank. I would like to give him the floor. You have 10 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much, Vini, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you in this important event. I think the whole question around artificial intelligence is on everybody's mind. There is no one day that will pass by without some querying in our minds. What is it? How is it going to affect our lives? How can we use it in a good way? How do you regulate it? How it affects our different lines of business, regardless of what your profession is. So what I'm going to do is to maybe share with you some reflections, how we see this affecting us in the whole space of agriculture more broadly and water in particular. Just quickly to show you where ICARDA is, the International Center for Agricultural Research in Dry Areas. We are present in 16 countries, and you can see on the map, this is, where the hottest and probably most and the driest countries in the world exist. And you could see very clearly from this map that these hot areas are also expanding. The data that have traditionally been used goes back to the year 2000, but some of the more recent assessments we have done shows that these drylands and heat is moving both towards the north, toward the east, but also towards the south. This is making farmers and water management in particular very challenging in this part of the world. Combined with many other externalities such as conflict, population increase, water scarcity, land degradation, and geopolitics and all that, it really constitutes what we like to characterize as the perfect storm. In relation to this perfect storm, climate is a very central and key part. So some of the recent simulations that we have done together with other scientific partners shows that this region is going to be affected much more than many of the other parts. Potentially, we used to think up to 4 degrees, but recent work shows even it could go up to 6 degrees. And what this means is higher concentration of temperature, probably a bit more erratic rainfall with already a very low base to start with, and it is going to affect the evapotranspiration more broadly. And this requires a very different model to rethink how we grow crops, how to use the land, how we use the water. And with the general global population increase across the world, it is so critical to consider resource use efficiency and optimization as to be at the core of every planning we do. Now, what artificial intelligence brings is greater capabilities for us to understand and to analyze and be able to reach better decisions based on a better understanding of the problems. And within the context of agriculture, we have many tools that gives us already a good head start: remote sensing, weather and climate data historically, but also more recently with more affordable satellite systems being launched, making access to data a lot cheaper, and many of the data in the public domain is also useful. The whole issue about sensors, farmers are now using it a lot. Gene banks have been digitalized, better understanding of genetic resources, and so on and so forth. Together with the drone systems and many of the other tools, it is really possible to have a much better starting position to be informed and to do our planning. Earth observatory systems also is a very complementary piece that allows us information at a much higher resolutions that compared to what we used to have in the past. Now, it's also important to look at the simulation models that is allowing us to now use all of these data that are being collected from multiple sources and then simulate these against many of the crop choices and the land use options. In the United Arab Emirates, for example, very water scarce and very poor soils and very limited natural resources, by deploying some of these tools, we are able to offer a much more targeted choices of what they could grow in terms of overall resource efficiency, but also in terms of nutrition. These tools are also allowing us, through the development of targeted models and tools, to be able to provide more efficient advice to farmers on agriculture input, as well as extension workers. And of course, in the process of doing that, you also have feedback loops where you get back some of the data, which helps the learning models to continue to improve the accuracy and the way they operate, making them more reliable and more efficient even over time. We've been applying this in the whole breeding space. Our breeders are now able to understand the wealth of information collected over the years in the breeding experiments they're doing, together with the gene bank, better and deeper understanding, and is allowing them to become a lot more efficient in the experiments they design, and they are able to breed for a very targeted problem according to the area and the country that they're trying, or even the crop that they're trying to improve. Again, climate information systems have now become a very normal and integral part of the planning of our own ministries, not only in this region, but more broadly across many other parts of the world. Even digital extension, I think, much more so in sub-Saharan Africa, where the extension capacity is very limited and the land is very dispersed. These extension services offer a very feasible alternative to providing agriculture and advisory services to farmers. But when you come more closely to Middle East and North Africa, again, the nature of the information that is needed probably is a little bit different, but also probably those systems are anchored into a much more solid data systems that are already established across ministries and across different departments. And again, you could see on this slide the feedback loop and how it moves from one stage to the other. Digital extension, we've been able to develop a very important tool called GeoAgro. It's available on the website. I invite you to look at it. This has been in the making for several years, but we continue to improve it. I mean, experience working from India all the way to Morocco, cutting across the whole of Siwana, this has been consistently undergoing improvement. And when we apply it across many countries, in every country there is a certain gap. We're able to work and fill in the gap, improve, making our own tools better, but also contributing to the tools that have been developed by our national partners. Within the context of the new land expansion in Egypt, desert constitutes a very important part of the expanded areas, and rightfully so across many of the other Arab countries. And in this concept, we're trying to look at the integrated form of desert farming while you bring in multiple components of the system to function as one. This not only provides better resilience for the farmers through the diversification of livelihoods, but also makes a much better use of the water itself, where you bring the water, use for fish farming, you use into closed water systems, hydroponic, productive agriculture, before you go into open fields and running to trees. And you can only improve the resource efficiency through learning, through building of the right models, asking the right research questions, and then continuously improve the management of your systems. Policy is a very important part of this exercise. So whether it's in the way you manage the land, you do the cropping, the way you manage the water resources, it is so central and has been overlooked for many years. And I think given the expansion in population and water scarcity, the right policies being in place is going to be very central for the success of any future efforts. Machine learning and data science is really the core of everything else I mentioned earlier on. By way of conclusion, I'd like to put forward a roadmap that runs on short and medium as well as on long term. Basically, I want trying to bring in some form of standardizations to data sets, trying to identify the right set of information to collect. AI and this entire process requires a huge amount of energy, storage, and computing power. So it's the more you're able to become standardized and more smart in asking the questions, collecting the data, the easier it becomes useful, and especially across collaborative and across a wide range of partners. On the medium term, it is very important to transfer the knowledge, to share the knowledge, not only among countries, but across regions and across the world. And of course, some form of regulation, some form of policy to ensure that these tools are used in the right form and the right space and for the purpose for which they were created. On the longer term, it's very difficult to predict. But I think at least it's very important to understand this is going to become the new norm in our lives. And the more we're able to engage in open and frank discussion about these things, the better it will be for humanity overall. So, invitation to everyone, partners, donors, funders, government, NGOs, research partners, to everyone in this room and beyond. Thank you so much for your attention.
So again, just to remind you, we'll take questions towards the end, so please stay with us till all the presentations are over, and then we'll have a Q&A session with all our speakers. There might be some general questions to pose to all, or there could be targeted questions based on the presentations and speeches they're giving. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Marco Rago, who is the legal advisor to Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation for Economic Diplomacy and Development, and he's also the Vice President of the One Water Committee. You'll have 10 minutes.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends of water diplomacy. The world is facing an unprecedented water crisis as the hydrological cycle has become imbalanced for the first time in the human history. This imbalance is endangering the future of our communities and hitting the most vulnerable people the hardest, including young generations. This situation is the result of climate change and the human activities. Drought and extreme rainfall are causing serious damage to human lives and economies. The melting of snow, ice, and glacier has increased the risks such as flooding, and it's threatening the long-term water security of millions of people. The economic repercussions of these trends will be severe. The combined effects of changing rainfall patterns and rising temperatures due to climate change, together with the decline in total water reserve and the lack of access to safe drinking and water and sanitation, meant that high-income countries could see their GDP shrink by an average of 8% by 2050, while low-income countries may experience even greater losses between 10 and 15%. Disruption to the water cycle not only have significant economic impacts, but restoring its stability is also essential to avoid failure in the fight against climate change. The safeguard all terrestrial ecosystems and to achieve each of the SDGs. Doing so will help preserve food security, sustain economic growth and job opportunity, and ensure a fair and livable future for all people. However, the challenges we face are insurmountable. We have the knowledge, intelligence, and technological tools to tackle them. We can repair the water cycle and secure a more sustainable future. The first step is to recognize that the problems we are facing are not only local, they are shared by all countries of the wider Mediterranean region. Communities, countries, and regions are interconnected, not only through transborder blue water, but also through atmospheric moisture flow that travel long distance, what we call green water. This is why the water cycle should be managed as a global common good by acknowledging our interdependence through both blue and green water, and by understating the deep links between the water crisis, climate change, and the loss of the planet's natural capital. We need the coordinated action in every country and cooperation across borders and cultures. In line with this approach, Italy is particularly pleased to host two key upcoming events that will mark an important step forward in the international debate on water. The ministerial meeting on water for the adoption of the Euro-Mediterranean Declaration on Water, scheduled with the Union for the Mediterranean for 24 and 25 March 2026, and the Euro-Mediterranean Water Forum, to be held in Rome from 29 September to 2 October 2026. These events will provide a platform for dialogue among national governments, the European Union, technical experts, civil society, and the private sector to join forces toward the ambitious goal of achieving water security in the Mediterranean. Water security in our region is the heart of our shared effort. To achieve this goal, we must envision a profound transformation of food and agricultural systems, promoting innovative irrigation techniques, sustainable water management, and the use of climate-resilient seed varieties. The restoration of a natural habitat to protect green water, improve water governance at both local and international level, through the sharing of the best practices, mobilizing an additional $500 billion per year in investment for low and middle-income countries, and strengthening the collection and change to reliable, accessible water data to build a new global water data infrastructure. Climate change is disrupting the water cycle. The visible and the projected impact of climate change include extreme weather events, shifts in rainfall patterns, increased drought and floods, and the melting of glaciers, permafrost, and the polar ice. These are all water-related phenomena. The water cycle can indeed be seen as the transmission chain of climate change. Therefore, the ability to manage water effectively is essential for climate change adaptation. Italy is committed to doing its part, together friends of water diplomacy, not only as a founding member of the European Union, but also because of its geographic position, largely surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea, and its deep conviction that the Mediterranean Sea has always been a powerful driver of human development, trade, and cooperation. We believe together in constructive dialogue that transcends and overcomes ideological and cultural barriers. Our sea, Mare Nostrum, has always been a sea of peace and dialogue. We are confident that together with trust, hope, cooperation, and both human and artificial intelligence, we can succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that speech. Next, we will move to Dr. Amgad El Mahdi, who is the regional manager for the MENA region at the Green Climate Fund. And he brings 25 years of experience in hydrology with expertise in operations, research, academia. Before joining GCF as MENA representative, he was filling the role of the global water sector lead for 2 years, and he crafted the water investment strategy. He brings extensive experience, and we look forward to hearing what GCF can offer to the audience here and how can they take advantage of the GCF. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Vinay. Good morning, everyone. So what I wanted to cover, really, it's what GCF can actually bring to, like, we have heard, like, multiple solutions and techniques that already been tested, ready for scale, like from Japan and from ICARDA. And so what I wanted to try to cover here, like how GCF actually can look at those different solutions and make it like for a scale, what type of funding modalities that already available as well. So I think like just 1 minute quickly, like why GCF has been established under the Paris Agreement. So we are the key financial arm for the Paris Agreement, and Paris Agreement really tried to work to reduce or maintain the increase of the Earth's temperature. And we tried to look at the NDCs that really the countries put as a target, how those actually are achieved, and how we can support those NDCs and target to be achieved as well. So GCF really, it's the largest multilateral climate fund that has been established under the UNFCCC to serve really Paris Agreement by investing in projects that try to reduce emissions with a clear impact or improving resilience in a very simple way. And we work on like a 4-year cycle. So every 4 years, we go for the countries to replenish our fund and also have to put a strategy for our fund contributors. The fund contributors really are the developed countries. So thanks for Japan, for one of our key contributors, and Italy as well as one of our key contributors as well. And so in the last cycle, like 24 to 27, so we have put the new strategy, and we have leveraged 13.6 billion to be really allocated for different projects to serve really developing countries, least developed countries as well, and also the small islands. So if you look at the screen in front of you, it's really like summarize what are really our key target for this 4 years. And you will see it really like a clear target for food resilience that will really look at low emissions and climate resilience, agriculture and fisheries. So I think the solutions that have been presented by ICARDA, for example, it's very aligned on those. And we have a target of 100 million hectares globally that need to be targeted in these 4 years. In ecosystem, again, we have like 120 million hectare target really to do like, to be conserved, sustain, and manage. In infrastructure, I think in Japan, showing like the aging of the infrastructure. So again, we're having a clear target for many countries, how we can really help them to turn their infrastructure, if it's through water system or agriculture or urban or cities and so on, how they turn those infrastructure to be green and resilient and so on. But we're also investing in early warning system and climate information system, because we believe that, again, it's an entry point that can really help countries to define their priorities and needs as well. So without taking long, really, like this slide in front of you, it's really summarize all the funding windows that we really have in GCF. So if you look at from the left side, so we have two main windows where we really support our stakeholders as countries, but also working through our accredited entity to implement those projects. The first window, which is called like readiness or a country window, that really comes with a clear envelope for each country, 7 million for each country. Those 7 millions go into two tranches, 4 million for capacity building, programming, and knowledge management. So to really help the government and institutions to build their capacity to understand, finding what tools they need and what priority, what type of projects, and so on. And then the 3 million, it goes actually for national adaptation plan. So turn that level of understanding into like a consultation framework and developing a national adaptation plan. And Egypt actually working on the national adaptation plan with UNDP. And I think there is a session tomorrow as well about sharing where they are in that process. And then we have, after that, we have really like, because we try to work in a partnership. So partnership for us, it's really, for each project, we have trilateral relationship. One is the national designated authority, which is set in each country. This, in most of the cases, it's Ministry of Environment or Ministry of Finance. And then we have what we call it accredited entity. The accredited entity, it's the entities that been screened by GCF to be able really to implement projects on ground. And most of the accredited entities that we currently have are international entities, but we try to also help the national entities as well, who really try to seek that accreditation. So we have created that second funding modality, which really to build the capacity, as we call it, direct access entity, a national entity that become accredited. They can really access 1 million from GCF to build again their institutional capacity and start to think about their first climate project and also present those climate projects to us. And the other funding modality we have, we call it project preparation funding or facility. And that again, very unique for GCF. Where you have a concept notes that being submitted to GCF and approved by GCF, you can actually request up to 1.5 million to develop your concept note idea into a funding proposal idea. So that 1.5 million used to do your feasibility study, to do site selection, to do engineering design if it's required, to do environmental impact assessment, to do further consultation with the community, and so on. So that it's really a seeding fund that's very unique for GCF as well, to help you really to design your project in a way to become really more climate project and very bankable project as well. And then we have the other last two window, it's really for projects. And we have two type of projects can come to GCF. One, we call it SAB, which is a simplified approved process. And that really come with a cap. So it has a cap where how much money you can request from GCF. And the cap is 25 million. So for SAB project, you can only request up to 25 million. What is SAB project? So SAB project, it's a project for technology ready for scale, or you're developing an early warning system and climate information system. So those type of projects, because we require SAB to be coming with zero to minimum environmental impact. So it's very good type of modality for scaling technology and scaling solution. And the last modality, which is really regular project, come with no cap. So again, you can request any amount of money that you can request from GCF. The good thing also about GCF, we are really working with all financial instruments. So you can request a grant, you can also access concessional loans, you can get guarantees, which is really helping SMEs and private sector, but also bond as well. So that flexibility helps us really to work across public and private sector as well. So how you can really put all those funding modality in a way to develop your idea and tap on those different modality. So this slide really summarizes when you have a country program or the country decided really to look to access GCF fund. So they have the capacity of that readiness money, like the envelope, like the 7 million. And we have seen many countries use this really to start designing their program for GCF as well. And they present those concept notes from using that readiness money for us. And we give approval for any concept note now in 6 weeks. Only 6 weeks you will get to know if your concept note being approved or rejected. And then when it gets approved, you can request the BPF or the project preparation fund. And that again, another 1.5 million can really help to complete the full design of your program or your project. And then you do the submission for the funding proposal. We also have committed ourselves for the funding proposal only for 6 months as well. And that to be recommended to ITAB, as we call it, which is our independent technical advisory panel. It's very independent from us as GCF, and both of us, we recommend the project for the board approval. So the total cycle with GCF, it's 9 months now to get your project approved. And that's our commitment and our KPI. But also it shows really there are a different financial support you can really tap on to bring your project to GCF. So this slide really summarizes I think you have seen GCF 10. So GCF 10, this year we're actually celebrating 10 years of GCF since we established, since actually we released the first project and approved the first project in 2015. And since 2015, we managed actually to approve 314 projects with total value of 66.6 billion, from our capital 18 billion. So that actually shows we are able really to leverage financial capacity from other donors, other private sectors, and other investors as well. The other figure on the right hand here, I wanted to share it really with you with encouraging, because it's unfortunately the MENA region, it's one of the underserved region or under-receiving fund from GCF. And I think it's coming to what we have heard already. I think Marco was talking about like require of the coordination, the policy framework that Mr. Ali also highlighted from a CARDA perspective on the roadmap to engage with different partners and get that enabling investment environment. So there are many challenges that really facing the MENA region here. And I want to really to make this as an opportunity to invite really every member here, represent your country or represent your entity, to think about programming in the MENA region, because we are really lacking the pipeline for projects in the MENA region. And we only managed to allocate only 6% from our fund to the MENA region. So just to, before I summarize the key points, again, this just show you again the opportunity, how we work with the private sector as well, because we believe the money we leverage, like I mentioned, like we have leveraged only 13.6 billion. 13.6 billion, it's not enough really to battle or tackle the climate change. So we have to use really our capacity to work with the private sector and mobilize the capital or the money from the private sector, because we believe most of the money is actually in the private sector, not in the public domain. And you can see again from these slides how much we've been able really to leverage our capacity from 6 billion in the private sector. We've been able really to bring 24 billion from the private sector to engage and to invest with GCF. The reason why, because GCF really use our financial instrument to de-risk those investment and take the first loss as well. And that become very encouraging. To conclude and to take home a message, so GCF here, it's really standing as a partner with countries, with entities that are representing here in the region and of course in the globe as well. And we have many modalities where we really support countries to do their national adaptation plan, to build their capacity and institutions. And our role and mandate really is to really serve the climate change, but also de-risk the investment, turn the project to be bankable, turn the project really to attract money, and ensure those projects are really delivering impact. Because we are not a bank, we are a fund as a climate fund under UNFCCC, and we're really measuring the impact for the whole lifetime of the project. And we're looking for reducing the emissions and improving resilience. Thank you.
So I saw a lot of people in the audience taking pictures of your slides, so that's an encouraging sign that there'll be questions to clarify matters around funding. Funding is becoming increasingly scarce, so when somebody is offering funding, it's a good change. Next, I would like to invite Dominique Béraud. Dominique works for WMO, and he's the head of the hydrological monitoring section at the WMO, and is responsible for activities relating with water monitoring and information systems, supporting global efforts for water management, climate resilience, and early warning systems. And prior to joining WMO, he was heading the Swiss National Hydrological Services. So Dominique, you have 10 minutes.
So thank you very much for this introduction, and thank you to the Cairo Water Week for having WMO on board. And first, congrats to the GCF for the 10 years. It's a great achievement. You might have seen that yesterday UNESCO hydrological program was celebrating 50 years. And you see the 75 at the bottom of this slide. WMO is celebrating 75 years of being the UN voice for weather, climate, and water. Water being understood as operational hydrology. So 75 years invested in supporting countries and partners in improving all their knowledge and system for having a better view on the Earth system approach. So that has been discussed at all the sessions. There is huge impact of climate on the water as a whole. The challenges are growing. And one of the points I like to mention is that it's not only more floods, it's not only more intense flood or drought, it's that it's less and less predictable. The system is changing. You have floods in unusual period, you have drought that are lasting way more than usual, and in some countries you have in the same year huge floods and huge drought period. So we simply cannot predict if we do not have the basic knowledge of what's happening there. The picture you saw here is coming from the yearly publication WMO is providing for a few years now, the status of the water resources report, gathering all the existing data, in situ data, satellite data, model data, using global model to provide the bigger picture of what's happening in terms of the changes in the overall hydrological cycle. And the conclusion is every year clear. There are changes in the full hydrological cycle, and there are changes in flow regimes, meaning water management becomes very, very difficult to do. So what's missing? It's data. I think it's still the same message, but it's still very true. So data must be collected by countries and by partners, and then data must be shared in order to be used. That seems so obvious, but it's not. So we still need to invest a lot in data collection system and in the whole system of sharing data to use them then in the forecast and prediction system for the sake of water and for the sake of climate. So WMO is supporting all those efforts in the Earth system approach that we are implementing for the 75 years. The core mission of WMO as a UN agency is to support countries in developing their data system, developing their forecast system, developing as well services that can help better understand and take the right decision in case of very short-term decision, in case of a natural hazard, or long-term decision if you have to invest in a very expensive water infrastructure. We are developing specifically global observing networks for weather, for climate, for water, for ocean, for chorosphere. And we have a unified data policy, which ask countries to share their data, especially in case of saving lives. And that's the spirit of the early warning system you will see in a few seconds. And WMO is as well here for developing a full action plan for hydrology on better knowledge of flood, of drought, capacity building efforts, building science into hydrology, supporting through hydrological data the science development, and bringing innovation at all stages of those developments. And if you want a kind of summary of the picture of the value chain, value cycle we are putting together for the monitoring system to support all the countries, all the partners in building a better knowledge of the whole hydrological system, starting with the data collection, network design, observing systems through the WICOS, which is the WMO hydrological cycle system. The whole cycle being, it's not only surface water, it's groundwater, soil moisture, evaporation, precipitation. We're dealing with the whole, providing as well capacity building, training to our partners, and bringing innovation to the whole, because we have to change the paradigm. We have to change what's too expensive. We have to be more effective. We have to be more sustainable in our observing stations and the observing system. And that's what the WMO Hydro Hub is doing. It's a project supported mostly by the Swiss government, The Inter-American Development Bank is supporting as well, and we're looking obviously for new partners to support that, bringing innovation. That can be satellites, citizen science, Internet of Things, any low-cost technology that can support the knowledge of our water cycle. And then sharing data. It's so complicated for many reasons, for political reasons, financial reasons, because the data are not there, or because the format are too complicated. WMO is developing the WHOS, the WMO hydrological cycle observing system, which help to take any kind of data, time series, real-time data from any kind of format, transforming them into a format that is usable for any kind of users. And then transforming all this data into knowledge and information. And one of the few examples we have is the Hydro Status and Outlook system, Hydro SOS, which gather all the existing data from satellite, in situ, model, and so on, to bring an overview on what's happening at the global level, regional level, and the national level. One of the key development of WMO, one of the core activity of WMO is to provide standards. Standards help to gain trust in the systems. Especially if you have innovative approaches that are less usual, you need to build trust between user, provider in the system, and WMO does that through our standardization. And using the data, using the information into something which is key benefit for all the partners and for the population. I put in the center that early warning for all, which is a call from the UN Secretary General 3 years ago, to provide early warning for all kinds of natural hazards to the population by 2027, in 2 years. It's a huge challenge. WMO has the overall lead with our colleague from the UN Disaster Risk Reduction, and has the lead on the pillar on observing system, on forecast system. And we push through the regions, to the countries to develop those systems. The survey indicates clearly that the number one challenge is on flood, number two is on drought, and almost all the natural hazards you may be facing are related to water. So it's key to develop those systems. Without going into detail, we have supporting efforts to get there, including for the Eastern Africa, a project funded mostly by Netherlands called the Water at Heart of Climate Action, with a focus on water. There is a CRUISE, the climate risk early warning system, at more national level, regional level, to implement things in a very practical way. And the flash flood guidance system, that is moving now to a more general flood forecast framework that we're implementing at WMO with many partners. And to that, I might show you in a slide later the international, the initiative for the drought management system, and the same for flood, the associate forecast on flood management. So the ADMP on drought, and I thought ICARDAC is certainly a partner, and we can discuss about that, because there are many connections. To provide information, to provide system, to provide all the good practices for supporting the drought management at national and basic scale. And using, you see on the right side, that help desk. It's key to connect all the people together, to share the knowledge, to share the experience, in order to improve all the system, to gain more benefit for the sake of the whole population. And that's the same actually for the flood management system. And I think you all know AWARE, which is a mechanism that is supporting countries in developing their system for protecting population. It's a contribution actually that has been committed by Egypt at the COP, I think it was the 28, to help countries to get to the funds. And that's one of the pillars that WMO is leading on, advancing the early warning systems for hydrological hazards. It's not only a technical question, it's not only a science question, it's as well a funding question to help countries to go to the right place to find the best solution. So I'm coming to the conclusion, and starting with bad news. So climate change has a huge impact on water. we need hydrological data, we need monitoring system, we need modeling system that are still missing. And there is awareness among the experts, among the ministries of water, agriculture, they know that, but others don't. So we have to find that link. And there is, we saw with the GCF, there is the Adaptation Fund, there are many funds that can provide support, financial support, on climate, water, and disaster, but there is a disconnection between those overall support or, say, water infrastructure to make the last mile being the data, to support the data infrastructure, which is a minor funding among the whole cost, which makes the whole difference. So that's my plea, to build that missing link between the overall funding and to raise the awareness of the need for better data, better information system where WMO can help. And finally, some good news. So the cost benefit of hydrological monitoring system is fantastic. 1 to 5, 1 to 10, 1 to 50, even more. We are conducting social benefit analysis for monitoring system. The latest example is in South Sudan. We see there is a huge benefit. And then we have to talk with the ministries of finance. We have to talk with the major donors to convince them invest first in monitoring system, and then the rest will be way easier. And WMO is here. WMO is the UN agency for weather, water, climate, infrastructure, monitoring system, modeling system, services. We are here with many partners and working together with countries, with NGOs, with other UN agencies to make the whole better. WMO is unique with our knowledge in developing standards and having that science and technique all together and bringing innovation in the whole. And this innovation, it can be at the small scale, it can be at the large scale, but we have to get there, and WMO can help to build a bridge between those innovative approaches and the more standard ones to gain trust in the whole user community. And working together is the key. WMO can provide the support to all of you, and I thank you very much.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Next, we have Professor Kostas Papanikolaos, who is advisor to the President of the Republic of Cyprus on climate change and Presidential Special Envoy on climate change. He is also the founding president and president emeritus of the Cyprus Institute. He holds physics degrees, bachelor's and PhDs from MIT, and he has served as Special Envoy on climate change for the government of Cyprus from 2018 to 2023. It's a very elaborate CV I have in front of me. I won't take too long. We are slightly behind schedule. You have 10 minutes to make a presentation. Thank you so much.
I would like to discuss the initiative launched in 2019 by the government of Cyprus, and these days with renewed intensity of bringing together to address the challenges in the Eastern Mediterranean, Middle East region that we face. This region is one, perhaps the most important if you take into account the population of the area and its many problems that it faces, hotspot climate in the world. The population is about the same as the European Union, about 450 million. The emissions actually a few years ago surpassed those of the European Union, so we contribute a lot to what is really going bad. And what is really noted is that while European Union's emissions decline, the emissions from this area are accelerating in increasing. The projections, and this is a projection from our Cyprus Institute, is the most precise right now for the region, the EMA region, which is shown on the right, are dire. If we follow the Paris Agreement, which we do not, we'll end up with about 2 degrees rise, maybe below. But if we go with business as usual scenario, which is the red scenario, it was already mentioned, will probably exceed 5 degrees in this area, which nobody knows, or everybody knows, is a disaster of unforeseen and unpredictable consequences. So something has to be done. The modeling here, as you see, is very robust, and the predictions are very solid. When it comes to precipitation, the same very sophisticated modeling is not as accurate. To a large degree, actually, and it was highlighted previously, the data that are available to calibrate the models are not as extensive and good. This needs to be improved, and maybe come back to it a while. Even though the predictions are not as accurate as for the temperature, clearly there will be a reduction, and if you look at the error, it may be as much as 35 to 40% is within the error. The central value is something like 5 to 10% in what we see. The next is water stress, and this being the water conference, the latest prediction from the World Bank is not on the one I show on the map, which some countries look good. All countries in the EMA region by 2030 will be water stressed. This is the latest report from the World Bank a few weeks ago. So the initiative, as I said, was launched by the Republic of Cyprus in 2019. And the idea is to bring together all of us in a region not known internationally for its climate of cooperation, on the contrary, to fight together in something that we all, in this case, agree it's very important. The plan had 3 phases. Basically do the science. It's a science technology-driven initiative. It's stuck, okay. And it goes now. And it ended up about 2.5 years with completing all the preliminary scientific studies, and we moved into implementation in a big way. In COP27 here in Egypt, presided in a meeting presided by President Sisi and the President of the Republic of Cyprus, the former President Anastasiadis. And you see a picture here from Sharm el-Sheikh. More important things are happening there today, actually. 10 heads of state of our region came together, and we agreed in the declaration that this is based on the work done by 400 scientists in the region in the preceding 3 years. It's time to move to implementation. So that's where we are. So there is a legacy from this, very strong, as strong as it gets, a heads of state, presided by President Sisi, a major leader of our area here. The reports, it's a legacy, the scientific reports. There are 13 reports for the topics listed there, from cultural heritage to agriculture, from water resources to marine environment, which provide the foundations for the regional action plan. Here is the report on the water resources. It's available online. All of them are, which provide the scientific and technical findings and the basis for action. The action, that is a result of that, in the intervening time, an action plan, an evolving action plan, has been devised. The scheme for governance for implementation has been devised and accepted. And one of the major, of course, issues is to finance this action, which is focused, I want to highlight this, is very important, primarily on transboundary actions. Each country has its programs, but transboundary action is a low-hanging fruit, often for no good reason proceeding, because there is no tradition or mechanism of implementation. The new president of Cyprus, President Christodoulidis, exactly a year ago announced the enhancement and the revitalization of this initiative. That's where we are now. There are 4 pillars there, from enhancing the scientific and technical know-how to management of the projects, forming an alliance of scientific and technical institutions in the region to progress the whole enterprise. So what we are now, we're in the phase of implementation of the action plan. There are several concrete, more concrete in this case, they're still very general, areas of importance that we're focusing on. The first 4 blue are not concrete projects in the sense of doing them, but in sense of making sure what will be done efficiently, cost-effectively, based on the latest scientific and technological know-how. This is a lot of modeling. We need the best modeling we can get, and you have seen the example of the precipitation modeling that I told you that we wish to have it a lot more precise like we do for the temperature, because if we don't have that, any projects for water, for example, with this uncertainty, they will not be as efficient as one will do if you had precise understanding and precise predictions of how things are going to evolve. And a lot of effort is right now focusing on these 4 predictive areas. Of course, there is energy interconnections, there are water interconnections, physical existing connected aquifers is an interconnection. And there are the issue of forest fires, which is devastating, especially in the northern part of the area, on and on. Let me proceed to something that is very recent. Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, announced 2 weeks ago, I believe, very recent, last month, Cyprus is becoming a hub for the area for addressing forest fires. This is exactly in our action plan, to coordinate action for firefighting, fire prevention, and addressing this with the support of the European Union in the EMA region. This is going to be, it is one of the big threats in a number of countries here, and it's a concrete example of what we mean of a concerted regional action with the support of the European Union. Moving to implementation, already I said that, and it's very important to focus on the government structure, because governance and efficient financing is required, and the prerequisite for it is governance, and therefore I highlight this. And I don't have the time to go into the details, but I invite all of you, and unfortunately I said tomorrow. If you look at the date, it's today, this afternoon. There is a special workshop on this organized by the Cyprus Institute and the Cyprus government. The details are shown there. We are all invited to come and hear more details about plans and implementation. And also, I would like to, Cyprus, conclude with this advertisement, if you want, Cyprus is having the presidency of the European Union for the first half of 2026. This is very high, what I'm presenting here on the agenda of the Cyprus presidency, to bring into, enhance the regional aspect into the collaboration with the European Union. And part of the program laid out by the Cyprus government in its presidency folder is a major conference on what we're discussing. The date is shown on the top line, International Conference, 8 and 9 of April 2026. And you are all invited to attend. Thank you very much.
That brings us to the end of series of presentations. We still have about 10 or 11 minutes to take some questions from the audience. And you can identify yourself, who you are, which organization you're representing from, and if you have a question for a certain panelist or it's a general question posed to all of them. I see a gentleman in the back raising his hand, but if you're, can we have a microphone, please? Fatin, can we have the...
Thank you very much. I'm just asking about the mechanism for applying for the Green Climate Fund. My name is Jamal Abdou. I'm professor of hydrology and water resources management at the University of Khartoum, Sudan. You know, we have been trying as a research institute to get green climate funding for many years, but we found it extremely difficult because of the mechanism and the process of applying for this fund. Your application has to go through the, the Higher Council of Environment, then the Ministry of Environment, then the Ministry of Finance. So at the end, you don't even get an answer, because of this bureaucratic process. So I wonder if it would be possible for us as research institutes to apply directly for funding rather than going through all these processes, which is really very complicated, and I even wonder whether our proposals are reviewed or not. Thank you very much.
Amgad, if you could answer in 2 minutes or less, please, so that we can take some more questions.
Is it working? Yes. So thanks for your question. And I think it's, let me clearly clarify why we have that type of process. So GCF established really to serve the Paris Agreement, and Paris Agreement need to be country owned by each country. That's why the national designated authority in each country, it's really the key focal point for us. And the rule for the NDA, the national designated authority in each country, it's one is actually to communicate to GCF as a fund what are really the key priorities for that country. Second, to give non-objection for the program that will be funded and implemented, so that assuring us a sustainability and also there is no challenge on implementation. Because country ownership really is one of our key investment criteria. But I hear you as a research institutions. So GCF, it's not really designed to support research. We are actually designed to support on-ground activity or implementation project. However, the research institutions working with us in two ways, one as a direct way and one as indirect. The direct way, as we have the country program or the readiness support to build capacity for the institutions and to help them to do some little research to define like what type of activity they need to do and solutions they need to implement. And unfortunately, we make a call for those entities to register themselves with us. We call it pre-qualified list. That call being concluded in last October, and we have selected 54 entities, including research institutions, to be as delivery for readiness. So that's the direct way with GCF. The second indirect way, as a research institutions, is actually to talk to the NDA by itself in your country, like in Sudan, and to work through them, or to work again with the project that's already been funded by GCF, and you work directly with the accredited entity that actually implementing those projects. So in Sudan, we have in March, early this year, we have approved a big program of 50 million in Sudan, and that applied by WFP and FAO. So that could be an opportunity as well to engage with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you got your answer, and thank you so much, Amgad, for sticking to the 2-minute limit. Any more questions to any of the panelists, or a question for all of them? Yes, please. Here.
Merci. Moi, je m'appelle Nassour Saleh Terda, je suis du Tchad, du ministère de l'eau et de l'énergie. Et je suis le directeur des ressources en eau et également conseiller en hydrologie au niveau de l'Organisation météorologique mondiale. Et je pose la question à Monsieur Dr Dominique. En fait, l'OMM, l'Organisation météorologique mondiale, s'occupe de la météo et également de l'hydrologie. Et le plus souvent, nous les hydrologues, donc s'il y a une activité au niveau de l'OMM, et plutôt, surtout les projets qui sont au niveau des pays, sont orientés plutôt vers la météo. Donc, c'est-à-dire, tous ces projets sont ancrés au niveau des services météorologiques. Et les services hydrologiques, nous, on voit que nous sommes un petit peu vraiment oubliés et nous n'avons pas une autre organisation qui s'occupe directement de l'hydrologie. Il n'y a que l'OMM qui s'occupe généralement, mais malheureusement, de façon vraiment diplomatique, je peux dire, mais souvent, nous n'avons pas de projets directement gérés par nos services. Et donc, c'est une question qui doit être touchée à tous les hydrologues. Et je ne sais pas si vous pouvez nous répondre à ça. Merci.
Dominique, how's your French? Did you get the question?
Je pense que je peux répondre en français.
Do you want to reply in English or in French?
Is that okay if I answer in French? Is that okay?
I don't know. Excuse me, is it okay to... I think there's live translation. You can do it in English and so that everybody can follow you. Yeah?
Ok, donc je vais vous répondre en anglais, mais le cœur y est en français. Donc merci pour cette question. Je crois que l'OMM, I think the WMO knows that there is still a gap to fill with the hydrology. We now have that plan of action for hydrology that has been decided by the Congress in 2021, promoting the better knowledge for flood, for drought, for science, and so on and so forth. So it's coming. And we're working as well well with a direct communication with all the countries. So I'm very happy to meet you here and happy to discuss further later to support, to identify what are your needs, specifically in hydrology, and how to build a system, if possible, within a basin, could be the Lake Chad Basin in this case, and to identify the needs and to support with the whole tools. WMO is developing what we call the Earth system approach, which is weather, climate, water, cryosphere as a whole. Because one of the goals we have is to build an Earth system modeling, knowing that the main challenge is on water. So it's growing. We can use way better system now for sharing data, for collecting data through the hydrological process. So we are increasing the portfolio on hydrology from WMO. And one of the best examples is probably the recently approved funds from the Adaptation Fund. So sorry, Ahmad, it's your good friend over there, for the whole Lake Chad Basin in promoting better information system on water and forecast system on water. It has been approved a few weeks ago, and we are now in the process of starting the process with the region, with the countries, and with the Lake Chad Basin Commission. So it's coming. I do understand your question, but now we are definitely increasing all this support, and happy to discuss with you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have one more question, and probably after that I'll have to make some closing remarks. We are already out of time.
Yes.
So that will be the last question.
Yes, so I have two small questions. One for our representative from WMO, and the second for our second speaker here. So I'm from the University of Mauritius. My first question for the representative of WMO was, I've seen that we have reports on global water resources. Do we have any report which target SIDS, Small Island Developing State? And my second question for ICODIA, the Director General. So you have shown that we are doing lots of, we are introducing technology for agribusiness, but do we have any methodology to target farmers who are in non-IIT access zone? Thank you very much.
So if I can take the floor for the first part of the question. So the global report I was mentioning is built from country information and regional information. And there is some chapters that are dedicated to different regions, including from some of the seeds, including in the Indian Ocean. Our goal is not to have a WMO report per se. It's to support the countries in building better information system. And there is several projects ongoing, including this time for the Green Canal Fund in the Indian Ocean, to help building those systems. And then why not having the four countries of the Indian Ocean building a joint report on that with the support of WMO. Thank you.
Do you hear me now? Okay, so I think it's important to emphasize the penetration rate of mobile phones. I think it's been the highest across the world, at least on the African continent. Nigeria has 2.1 mobile phones per person. Yeah? So I think the challenge of not being able to have regular infrastructure for connectivity has given rise to the very easy way of deploying mobile technology. And this is basically the platform through which the extension services is being provided, some of which use very, very basic systems. But it's not a substitute 100% for the conventional extension system, and that's why we continue to emphasize on the capacity development aspect of things, training of trainers, and of course extension workers. They all constitute a very integral part of the cohort of trainees that ICARDA helps work with our counterparts in every country to develop these capacities. I hope that answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We won't be able to take more questions. You can meet the speakers bilaterally after we end this session. I just want to conclude by saying the main objective of this session was to provide a platform to explore the vital connection between the water and the climate action. And we wanted to share some evidence-based strategies. We wanted to foster a dialogue, and we wanted to amplify some of the success stories coming from different parts of the world. And the session was trying to contribute to the building of the resilient water systems that support sustainable development in an increasingly uncertain climate future. So I hope that's what you could learn from this session, and I welcome you to interact with the speakers once we close this. And we have some food in the back, so stick around, please interact with the speakers. Thank you so much for participation. And speakers, if you can stay back for a group photo. They have requested a group photo.